Hi everybody, it's Yaneli again from Alvarado Renovations. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be showing you how I spruced up this little sofa table for a friend of mine. To begin, I'll show you the products that I used. We chose this deep brown color to match the decor of my friend's home. I sealed the piece with polyacrylic and a foam brush to protect from scuffs and scratches. I sanded it down only with a fine grit sandpaper. I used my orbital sander, which I use this with most of my projects. I painted the details with white flat paint and an angled makeup brush. I started by sanding down the top of the table to remove the shiny top layer so that the paint could adhere better to the table instead of just sitting on top of that shiny surface. I wasn't so sure whether or not the top was real wood, so I went in with a fine grit sandpaper. After I realized it wasn't real wood, I did my best to not leave the sander in the same spot for too long so that I wouldn't damage the piece. When you're working on a piece that isn't real wood, you also want to be sure not to keep the sander too long on the edges of the tabletop, or else you'll deform the shape of the edge. Next, I sanded the skirt of the table and the legs. As I started to sand the legs, I discovered that they were actually real wood. You can see a difference in color between the sanded fake wood and the sanded real wood. After sanding the whole table down, I cleaned and wiped it down about 3 times to make sure I got all the dust off of it. Once the table dried, I flipped it upside down and started to spray paint it. The reason I start with the table upside down is so that I can flip it right side up and continue painting, and also so that I can reach angles that I wouldn't reach if the table was right side up. When using spray paint, you need to be sure the can is held a few inches away from your piece, and you also want to work with light coats. If you spray too close to the piece, you will create paint drips, and they will need to be sanded down if you want to remove them. I did 2 thin coats of spray paint, and I waited for the paint to dry in between the coats. As soon as the paint dried, I went ahead and applied my first coat of polyacrylic with a foam brush to the tabletop. I did 3 coats on the tabletop and 2 coats on the rest of the table. I applied thin coats of poly in a back and forth motion. I did my best not to leave any bubbles to achieve a smooth, even finish. The last thing I did to this piece was accentuate the unique details with white paint. I have a few cheap makeup brushes that I never used, and I was finally able to use one. Since I was painting over dark brown paint, I had to do about 7 coats of the white. Although it was tedious, I think it turned out super cute. Finally, here is the finished product. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Bye guys!